Previously on Maplestory the novel, Sacred Tears.
How is it you come to blame me?
Why did you save my life? I was on the verge of seeing my family again. He did try to cut your throat with it just a moment ago.
I insist you do something about your daughter!
You're supposed to use mana from your life force to connect and shape nature's energies.
She'll be wiser than all of us in a few years.
Shall I have some food brought to you later?
And now the continuation of Chapter 18, Part 2.
I know he means well, but it feels all wrong. How can I get more powerful if I can't learn properly?
Rhinne complained, pacing back and forth in the empty classroom as Will watched her, checking his notes periodically for anything that might help.
Have you tried asking your mother for help?
He asked.
She's been teaching me everything she can, but it's all like I'm a goddess. I need to learn more about my power as a mortal, but I can't do that very well because the way I manifest my powers is far different. It's like teaching a bird how to be a mole.
Will had to do his best to stifle a chuckle as he watched her stomp around the room.
On top of that, my mother and father remind me how important my power is every other day. But I don't even know how to use it properly, let alone enough to wipe out all darkness.
You seemed capable enough when you saved me,
Will reminded her, remembering when he first arrived at the temple.
I found out later from my Uncle Zin that I was just overwhelming the darkness and driving it away, not eradicating it. The result is still the same, but it's not a permanent solution.
Will flipped through the pages of his journal, trying to find something in his years of service to the Aurora that he missed.
What if you could teach someone here in Euphoria how to use magic like you? It might help you understand how it works.
I asked my mother that same question, but she said humans can't use mana. Human life forces aren't strong enough anymore. Mars says that humans can't use it because humans don't have it. The only mortal beings still in existence that can use magic like me are the elves, and I doubt they'd want to help a human learn after what happened to them.
Have you ever tried finding out if humans can use mana?
Will asked. Rhinne was about to protest, but stopped herself, her brow wrinkling.
No? I don't think I ever have.
Rhinne breathed, her eyes flitting back and forth in thought, making Will chuckle.
You've been studying here and in your mother's temple for the past 19-ish years. Been stubborn enough to help any number of clerics with their darkness, sometimes even against their will, and fight with Mars every chance you get about how magic is supposed to work. Yet you simply accepted that your mother and Master Mars said that humans can't use mana? You're half human. Don't you think that means you shouldn't be able to use mana?
My deific half supersedes that, allowing me to use it. But even if humans could use mana, how would I find out?
Teach me. Show me how to use magic like you.
Will? Mana comes from your life force. One mistake and you could burn it out. I don't want—
I'll be fine. I survived an omen attack, so I should be able to survive anything.
He joked. Rhinne sighed, staring at Will for a long while, aware of how finite his life would be compared to hers. She didn't want to burn out his life force before his time. His hair had already turned white after healing him of the omen's darkness, a sign that part of him had aged a lot after being exposed to so much of her power. And with mana coming from one's life force, there was an uncomfortably high chance he could accidentally use it instead. Rhinne stood before him, looking deep into his amethyst eyes.
Are you certain about this?
She asked, as if giving him one last chance to back down. Again, Will assured her he would be fine, reminding her that he was well studied and excelled in magic. Letting out a long and heavy breath, Rhinne agreed as Will stood and set his notebook down. Pushing aside her misgivings, Rhinne held up her hand, palm facing Will.
Put your hand to mine and close your eyes.
Will readily did so, letting his fingers lace into Rhinne's momentarily before returning to pressing his palm against hers.
Now, take a breath and relax. Try and focus on your heartbeat and the feel of your pulse.
Will remained silent, blocking out all the noises around him, letting the steady rhythmic pressure of his pulse become more and more prominent.
I think I've got it.
Good. Now try to imagine or feel the blood flowing through your veins. Feel it moving through your body.
Will's brow further lowered over his eyes. Minutes ticked in silence when Will slowly nodded, his whole body tingling.
This is the tricky part. Imagine your heart as a roaring fire at the center of your chest. There should be smoke coming from it. That's mana. Once you see that smoke, I want you to imagine it flowing through the veins of your arm and onto your palm. Then push my hand away with it.
More time passed in silence, the excitement making Rhinne tense, half worried, half eager to feel Will's mana push against her palm. Minutes passed in silent agony until Rhinne felt a light pressure against her hand. It was no more than the brush of a leaf against her skin, but it was there.
Well, that's it! You can control mana! You have mana!
She exclaimed, rushing against him and hugging him tightly, almost knocking him over. Will took a moment to recenter himself, chuckling as Rhinne excitedly bounced on the balls of her feet.
I don't think it's too much to be excited about yet, my love. I would hardly call it a useful energy source.
But the fact that you can use it is the point! Mana takes time to build up, and you can expand your capacity to limitless levels with training.
Rhinne smiled, lacing her fingers with his as the room brightened with a golden glow. They looked down at their hands, seeing spears of light between them. They raised their hands together as if on cue, letting go and holding up an orb of bright gold light, spilling out of the windows and lighting the forests.
What is this?
Will breathed, leaning in to better look at the star floating in their palms.
I think this is ultimate light in its purest form. It's our light.
I thought the purest ultimate light was white.
I don't think it's supposed to be. The light my father uses is potent, but it's missing something.
What do you think that something is?
I'm not sure, but we'll find out together.
Rhinne smiled, hugging Will and kissing his lips, basking in the light's glow surrounding them. The next day, Tahir awoke to the sound of acolytes training in the front yard, letting out hard yells as they moved through their stances with their staff weapons. Going to the window, Tahir pressed his face against it to see the acolytes in the dull glow coming from the surrounding crystals. As they moved, the whole group's staves would sometimes light up with bright white bursts, temporarily blinding him. Once his curiosity was satisfied, he reached for his clothes, put on his dagger, and adjusted the pendant hanging around his neck. He remembered the man dressed in the black and silver cloak as he held it up. Was it that man whom he should thank for bringing him here? If so, where would he find him? His thoughts were interrupted when he felt his stomach groan. I should eat something and then I'll look around. I don't want to stay here too long and risk losing my contract, he thought, walking out into the hall where a few clerics of the order roamed from room to room, some carrying what appeared to be vials of a dark substance. Others were carrying stacks of books or scrolls to and fro. Unsure of where he could go for food, he asked one of the passing clerics, who, incidentally, was heading to meet his wife for breakfast.
I am Xiriun, one of the leading clerics of Aurora.
The cleric said, extending his hand, which Tahir shook in response.
Tahir, tell me, why did you disappear 9 years ago? The world has only gotten worse since you abandoned it,
Tahir asked with a sneer. Xiriun nodded and sighed.
It was a gamble we all took with Master Dane. Mars and I are teaching the acolytes here how to harness and use light to combat omens. We find them occasionally within the Forest of Peace and have dispatched them. Then why don't you take that knowledge into the world and help defend it? People are dying daily from their attacks. All of you have so much power that you could make the world a better place, yet you hide away in the forest doing what?